Hey everyone, Cooper here, host of the fine podcast you're listening to. I just want to let you know that the episode you clicked on has a format that is very heavily inspired by a podcast called The Bookening. To be clear, our thoughts and opinions in this episode are our own, but the format is very similar to this podcast. I just wanted to give you a heads up and give credit where it is due. With that out of the way, enjoy the show. Coming up next, Booking It reads Prince Caspian. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Booking It. I'm, of course, your humble and eloquent host, Mr. Cooper Cobbs, and joining me today are two of my favorite friends, Mr. Isaiah Redsky.
Hello.
And Mr. Tanner Lewis.
Howdy, folks.
And today we are all together in the same room, my pitch room, where many a fine podcast has been recorded. How do you guys feel about live recordings like this? We're in person.
I think they're fun, but editing is a challenge.
Yeah, true.
I think they're a lot of fun because it's like having a conversation with my friends,
Yeah.
and I don't have to edit, so that's
It's
fun.
true. I think the only other live episode that we've done, all of us has been Casablanca, this training episode, which is late night, a sleepover, and we were very tired, and it shows. But it was a very fun episode to record, as I recall. Anyway, guys, this is our 90th episode. Can you believe that? 90.
What?
90.
90.
How many downloads do we have, Cooper?
Like
Let's go.
15,000, I think.
15,000 folks.
Yes, I know.
So many people.
Yeah,
Let's see. I'm checking right now.
just checking right now. Well, I guess it's kind of a mini celebration. We'll do something special when we get to 100. I have some plans, which I think will be fun. But I think that 90, it is the idea that we've gotten this far is mind-boggling to me. Like when we started this podcast, gosh, 2.5 years ago, over the summer, and none of us ever dreamed we get this big. What?
It's been 2.5 years. Oh my gosh.
I think that anyway, whatever we do for 100, we'll play some audio from my very first episode and like respond to it and cringe and all that stuff because our voices have changed dramatically.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I started shaving. Tanner did too. I have not
And you
shaved.
haven't yet?
Anyway,
For the record, I clearly wasn't shaving at that point. We have some photos to prove it.
it's true. I totally forgot about that. That's a joke that only our patrons will get, I think. But anyway,
It was necessary
yeah,
for them.
that's right. Anyway, 90 is such a big number, and we're thankful to all of you guys who have made it possible. We enjoy doing these, and you are why we do them, and you're worth it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now back to the podcast.
Back to the podcast. So today, gentlemen, we're talking about the Chronicles of Narnia, Book 4, chronologically. And they're on Isaiah's phone over there right now. I don't know. What? Okay, keep
Don't,
talking.
my
I'm
phone
talking.
just decided not to work. for a second.
And today we're talking about the classic Chronicles of Narnia book, Prince Caspian. Now, I want to say that before I even started reading this book, my grandpa had this movie on when he was babysitting us one time. And I was like a little scared because I was like 5 or something like that. And it's that scene where Caspian's like running away, which I think opens the movie up or something like that. Or it's one of the first scenes. And I was like, I don't like this movie. He's like, oh, Prince Caspian, good. And anyway, that was kind of interesting to do Prince Caspian before we actually started reading Narnia, at least as a family. So, Prince Caspian, book number 4, which...
Hold up, really quickly. So we were talking about how many downloads we
Yeah.
have. We have about 15,000 downloads all time. The most downloaded episode, not even close to the second one. Wingfeather Saga on the Edge of Dark Sea of Darkness Part 1 has 1,105 downloads. The second highest one is The Hobbit with 400.
That's insane.
What the heck?
Yeah. People like Wingfeather, is it? I mean, that's something that I told you this today, but me and Tanner were talking about doing an episode reviewing the, whatchamacallit, the show.
series.
Yeah, animated show. So, hey, if you guys are interested in that, reach out, and if it's popular, if it's popular enough of an idea, then we'll review the show. For sure, because we like popularity. No, I'm kidding. We don't. We're homeschoolers.
I dislike
do.
it strongly. I will display my feelings to the world if you wish.
Anyway, Prince Caspian, guys.
I don't wish.
Book number 4 of the Chronicles of Narnia chronologically. Where do we start here? Oh, first, Tanner has started Planet Narnia, which, as we referred to last time, is the
Already?
book which hypothesized that the 7 books of Narnia are each remotely based on the 7 planets in the medieval system. So, Tanner, give us an update on that. Like, how's the... I think you read the introduction. Is that all you've read so far?
Yeah, so far I've only read the introduction because that's as far as my commute to work will let me get. But as far as it goes, it's a very interesting theory. I don't know if I agree with it yet. I think that Lewis's story is far more interesting and a lot more fun. But, an interesting idea and definitely something that should not be discounted immediately.
Yeah. And so you guys want to take a guess as to what planet Caspian is based on? And Planet Narnia?
You said it last week.
Tanner, you can't look it up.
You said it in the last recording, but I don't remember. You say it was going to be like, I can't remember if it was Mars or Jupiter. I think it was Jupiter.
It's incorrect.
It's a different one.
Gosh,
Jupiter was Lion the Witch in the Wardrobe.
Oh, I remember you said something about it last in one of the Horse and His Boy. But I don't remember what it was because I wasn't paying attention. Wait, was it the moon? No. That was Horse and His Boy. No? Well, I got a brain. I don't even know. My brain's gone.
Tanner's looking it up furiously.
It's after a long school day, okay?
Yeah, it's true. We've had our brains knocked out. Shout out to my sister, by the way, taking second place at the science fair. And winning community favorite. Yeah, true. Tucker wasn't even an eligible contender, and he somehow won the community favorite. There was a lot of voter fraud. I think that may have been Matthew's doing. Yeah.
A little?
Yeah.
He got over like 40-something votes, and it wasn't even in it. It was awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. But shout out to my lovely sister for taking
All right, what is it? Just tell us.
I'm still finding it. Keep talking.
Why don't I just say it? Because it's been a while.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
It's Mars. Can anybody tell me why? What is Mars the god of in ancient Greek mythology?
Come on. Ares, god of war.
Yes.
Well, not Ares, but he's a god of war. Ares.
And that leads directly into the next segment, which is called Baggage, where we share the history that we have with the book. And Prince Caspian was always my favorite book as a kid because it had the most battles in it.
That's true. It was always my favorite movie.
Exactly.
It actually was my favorite movie of all time for 3 years. I'm not kidding. Yeah, even above Marvel and all that. That was when I was younger.
Yeah. I have not seen that movie in a long time.
I haven't.
I remember it being, what do I remember? I remember it being pretty good. I mean, I probably had different thoughts about it, but those movies were okay in the classic scenes. They get most of the stuff right, but then when the battles come up and those things like that, I don't know. It'd be interesting to go back and rewatch them, but I don't think I want to rewatch them for this. But Prince Caspian was pretty good because the opening scene, all the Mirage stuff is pretty good. All the Telmarine stuff is pretty good. And they add some weird stuff about the hag scene is kind of weirder, I think.
It is a little weird.
But anyway, Prince Caspian, that's kind of my baggage is. I got introduced by the movie. I read it. It's kind of my favorite as a kid. What about you guys? Any specific baggage you'd like to share? Was Prince Caspian one of your favorites too growing up?
I don't remember the book, if it was my favorite or not. Because I didn't really read the book so much when I was younger. I do remember how I was introduced to it was my dad reading the book, and then we watched the movie after we read the book because he read it out loud to us. And once I watched the movie, I loved it for a couple of years. It was my favorite movie, above Avengers and all that. Don't know why, but yeah.
Interesting. It was always one of your favorite books that we said for Narnia.
I think so. I don't really remember what my favorite books were for Narnia then. But reading it now, I do like it, yeah. Or the last few years that I've reread it and all that.
Prince Caspian, definitely a good one. Was never really my favorite. I don't know, as it should. Maybe I just have good literary taste as a young child.
Okay, Tanner.
Wow.
Guys, if you chronicled Tanner's favorite books over the years, you would not think so.
No, not at all.
Shh, we don't talk about that. This is the anomaly, folks. Anyways, read through, as I've said earlier, read through all the books, didn't watch the movies until after I had read all of the books. So reading through it, it was definitely a good book, in my young childish opinion, but it was never my favorite, and it was never good enough to be in the top 3.
Okay.
So there's that. But
for Narnia,
the movie, for Narnia, never good enough to be in the top 3 on Narnia. But as far as it goes, I think that I enjoyed the movie more than the book, but only for one reason. It's a little bit of a complication. There are some parts that I like more than the book, but only for one character, Reepicheep. Literally the greatest character in the history of Narnia. Like, that is the only reason this book is, like, good.
And at the end,
Reepicheep.
of this series on Narnia, we'll do like a looking back episode, which we've done before. And I think one of the questions that'll be the hottest contender is who's the best side character. And Tanner has made it known that he thinks it's Reepicheep. I think Puddleglum is a strong contender, personally.
I definitely agree with that, but it's Reepicheep.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, I think Reepicheep will win. It's just the classic character that everybody loves. Yeah, Reepicheep's good. Okay, I guess we're into opening. Actually, did you get baggage? You get baggage. Yeah. Opening thoughts this time around. What do you think of Prince Caspian?
Once again, not my top 3.
Not your top 3.
It's good. There's some very touching moments. Best scenes are always Reepicheep.
Yeah. By the way, he's not
greatest quotes are always coming from the centaurs. Like in this book, like I've never had a more loaded book of centaur quotes.
Yeah. Yes. Is there other books with like besides Harry Potter, which are just dumb? And Harry Potter.
But it's like as far as Narnia goes, like these have the best quotes from them. So just like love centaur quotes. They're so much fun.
Yeah. Reepicheep's not actually like a huge character.
No, it's sad.
But all the stuff he is great in this book.
Yes.
Yeah, like
but if he was a bigger character, it'd be way
better. Oh yeah. I mean, like you said, like the scene where his mouse friends are gonna cut off their tails it gets me right in here in the warm spot inside my chest. And yeah, yes. And I'm realizing now that we're like in person, people won't be able to pick on a lot of the visual cues.
No, not
that's going on because they can't see us. Anyway, as your opening thoughts.
It's a good book. I like it. It's not my favorite book, but it's definitely up there. But like The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe and The Silver Chair and all that are just better. But it's a good book and is entertaining. Yeah. And Reepicheep, I mean, like Dan, it's all
true. Yeah, I think coming around to it this time, what stood out to me the most was actually how long like Lucy and Peter and Edmund are not with Caspian. Like in the movie, it happens like really fast. Like, they add a whole nother like castle sequence. I want to say, right? Because they acknowledge like it's really in this book, and you can kind of tell Lewis is a great writer, but I don't think he rewrites much. And he wrote these books really fast, and so I'm not sure that he went back and like redid a lot of this. But what I can tell is that really nothing much happens like actively until the like page 150, which is like 3/4 the way, and then we finally get some action. Now in the movie, they kind of readjust that, and like 1/3 of the way through the movie, Caspian and everybody else is kind of reunited already. So it's very much like different than that. But like the first 100 pages, it's them getting pulled out, and then it's Trumpkin telling them the story, you know. So anyway, I guess my thoughts were, I think that this is a classic example of like the sequel. So as people know, even though it's the 4th chronologically, it's the 2nd in publication order. So it really is the 2nd book that was published, and so people would have read it like that. And I think that it works it's a very cool sequel. As in, people who make sequels always kind of struggle, like, what do we do now? Like, Tony Stark learns the same lesson again in Iron Man 2, which is a terrible movie. But, like, what do you do with a sequel? And I think that's really fun to see characters that we know and love get called, like, back into the fantasy world, which kind of happens a lot now. But I think Prince Caspian was one of the first to do it. And then we get to see them experience their world in a whole new light. Like, we see them figuring out, oh, wait, this is Cair Paravel. These are our chess pieces. These are all our magical weapons. And you get to kind of relive it with the characters. And so that's pretty cool. And Tolkien's obviously, or not Tolkien, Lewis is obviously great at describing it, and a lot of it's really fun. So I really enjoyed it. I think that these structural elements are kind of what weakens this book for me. Like, really nothing active happens until the last 50 pages, and all the battle stuff I remember being awesome isn't necessarily that awesome, except for actually, there is one line that I thought was awesome. Hang on. Let me find it.
You just said awesome like 4 times in the last like sentence.
I'm sorry. Okay, here it is. Okay, so basically what happens right now is Miraz has just gotten killed by his attendants. And they're like, oh, Narnia did it. Charge, Telmarine. And Peter's like, yo, treachery. Fight, Narnia. And then this is what happens. Oh, yes. Peter swung to face Sopesian, slashed his legs from under him, and with the back cut of the same stroke, walloped off his head. That's just glorious.
That is just awesome.
Glorious writing.
That is amazing.
It's a beautiful image. The guy's just gotten done like backstabbing his king, and then Peter just knocks off his legs, and then comes back with a sword and takes off his head. I mean,
That is amazing.
That's-
They needed that in the movie.
yes,
So then it wouldn't be. I would not have been allowed to watch it.
Yeah. exactly. Like I mean, that's hard PG-13, if not R right there. And I think that really wouldn't work. Like, could you really cut someone's legs out without a lightsaber? You know, unless you're Obi-Wan Kenobi to Darth
No,
Maul.
you could. Depends where you hit him. If you hit him right at the joint with the knee, you could.
Yeah.
You clearly
Probably.
haven't watched enough medieval movies,
Yeah,
Cooper.
seriously.
Well, get it, like IRL.
You probably could with enough strength, and depends on where you hit.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you can break a bone, you can just keep going.
Yeah. For sure. Another thing about this book that I want us to talk about, we talked about it a bit. I think me and Isaiah did in Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
You did?
Yeah, and kind of, well, you haven't heard what I'm talking about yet. Is like the blending of Lewis's fantasy world Narnia with like mysticism and with pagan Greek gods and things like that. And I think it's really cool. We've talked about Isaiah and Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. He does it very successfully. And I think he does it overall in the series pretty successfully. But in Prince Caspian, like it kind of veers towards more pagan and weird stuff.
Like the witches or hags or
Well,
whatever the heck they were
not
called.
necessarily that. Like, I like that stuff, but like the stuff where you have Bacchus and you have Narnia, you have Aslan with Lucy and Susan, and they're like basically having almost an orgy, you know, like through the town. You know what I'm talking about? That scene.
I think so.
They go. It's like the fords of Bruna, and they're all just like partying with Bacchus. It's like the god of wine and on a donkey. It's like that kind of stuff. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That section right there. I have always been uncomfortable with that section. Like,
That was so weird. It's the part that I like purposefully
Yeah,
forget from
people
this
like
book.
forget about it, but it's there. And
I actually did forget about
yeah,
it.
exactly. I just forgot about it. And so that's good because I think it's a terrible scene. And actually, even at the end of the chapter, like Lucy and Susan say, where is it? They say, here it is.
How do you just find it that fast?
Dude, I'm good at just finding stuff. So let's just admit it. Like, I'm pretty good at it. Okay. At that moment, the sun was just rising, and Lucy remembered something and whispered to Susan. I say, Sue, I know who they are. Who? The boy with the wild face is Bacchus, and the one on the old donkey is Silenus. Don't you remember Mr. Tumnus telling us about them long ago? Yes, of course, but I say, Lou, what? I wouldn't have felt safe with Bacchus and all his wild girls if we'd met them without Aslan. I should think not, said Lucy. So, even they acknowledge, this is kind of weird. And so why C.S. Lewis put this in a kid's book? I don't know. You know, and like we talked about, all the stuff in Caspian about, waking up the tree gods and the nymphs or whatever, you know what I'm talking about? The naiads and the dryads and stuff. That's all pretty cool and well done. But, sometimes the pagan stuff that he's blending can, be really pagan. And I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of that personally. But I don't know if you guys have any other insights into that section.
Not a big fan of that either. I didn't remember it though. So
I do remember it though. Now that you talk about it, there were the kids that were getting out of school.
Yes.
And
so yeah. I'm not even talking about that part so much because I think that's fun. I guess.
There were the other parts though
Yeah.
that came after that.
It was
that
before that,
I
yeah.
literally can't remember
Yeah.
anymore because selective memory, folks.
Selective memory. You cut out stuff that's bad, I guess. So yeah, that's
It's probably best.
that'd
Actually,
be my main
like that.
critique of it. And then the other is just the structure. Why is half of the first part of the book is passive? Trumpkin's relating to him the story, and it's fun. I read the first 100 pages in one sitting, and it was really good, and I enjoyed it. Like I said, I love Prince Caspian. It's great. I don't think it's my favorite Narnia book by any means, but it was fun. But then it just kind of drags on. The part where they're journeying kind of drags on, and then finally.
that remind you of Lord of the Rings or anything?
No. Lord of the Rings is much better at that kind of stuff because, in Narnia, the thing is, in Lord of the Rings and in Narnia, they're both taken on their own terms. And in Lord of the Rings, the pacing is much slower. And in Narnia, things are fast, things are snappy, they're happening quick, and so you're not used to it in Narnia, where it's really slow. And so the pacing kind of there was a little bit wonky for me, but that's just me, I guess. Anyway, anything else you guys want to say about the structure of the book or anything like that? Okay. Well, so what else they're talking about? Prince Caspian himself. The Telmarines. Thoughts. Spew. Give me.
Good warrior, good character.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts.
Great world building is what those were. Just adding an entire different I don't know. Up until that point, you had not heard of like any other humans living there. Period. Besides the Pavinces, the White Witch, the Pavinces and the White Witch. Those were the only humans there. And even still, you could argue that the White Witch, or what's her actual name? Jadis. Haha. That the White Witch or Jadis was just like not even human. Anyways, those are my thoughts. Great world building.
There was, yeah.
Adding more people in.
Yeah, there's a line which shockingly I can't find. I'm sorry, guys, but it talks about Narnia like being a land of wild beasts and being a land of talking animals, but not being meant to be ruled by them. Like, you need a human king, essentially, over them. And so Prince Caspian fills that role nicely. It's got a great like plot, scheming storyline, which will come back to play in our next book, which is Voyage of the Dawn Treader, of his uncle sending off the lords and killing the king and stuff like that. So you got some great political stuff going on. You got Caspian, who's just a young guy who wants to do what is right and kind of that kind of thing. Carry on the myths of old Narnia and finds out they're true. So yeah, I like Caspian a lot. Like Telmarines, like Tanner said, the stuff at the very end is pretty good. I'm just remembering at the very end, I thought the very end of the Caspian movie where they try to play up a romance between Susan and Caspian, and it made me want to barf. So that part's not good.
I literally hated that. I looked at my mom, and she was like, "Oh my gosh!" And like she turned off the movie at that point. We didn't finish it, and she looked over at my sisters, and she's like, "And this is what happens when Disney gets a hold of a movie." And I'm like,
"Whoa,
too true."
What's funny is there's an actual line in that movie where Lucy's like, "What's going on?" And Susan's like looking dreamily at Caspian. She's like, "I'll tell you when you're old." And it's like, we don't need that line in a Narnia movie. Come on.
There's no love in Narnia, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
There's
like no love in Narnia. You heard it here first.
It's true though. There's like literally no love story in Narnia. Period.
It's true. I mean, even Diggory and Polly, like all this stuff is like, even Ervis and what his name is, Shasta from Horse and His Boy. It's like they were friends. And because they were friends, they got married. Yay!
Because at the end of the book, he said they went on arguing.
Oh yeah.
And
they kept arguing and making up that they decided to get married to do it more conveniently or something like that. Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
And then even the horses, like Quinn and Bree, like they're friends, whatever. They marry separate people. It's like Lucius does not want to write a story where people get together.
I believe in that.
Yeah. Which I mean, we don't need it. Yeah, we don't need it. So anyway.
This is a children's book, not a romance.
Another thing I like about the Telmarines while we're still on the subject, and this kind of plays into talking about at the very end of the book, Aslan says, the Telmarines came into this place by another world. Basically where they were these pirate dudes, and they were on islands, and then they made it into Narnia somehow. And it's kind of the idea of there are still places in this world with magic and things like that. So kind of the thing is, the wardrobe, it's not the only way into Narnia. Like there are other places out there that have magic and things like that. So I think that's a pretty cool idea that invokes wonder, it sparks imagination, and it helps people look for ways into Narnia that are not wardrobes, which I'm sure parents are very happy about. Little kids crawling in wardrobes and stuff. So, but like, by the way, Lewis is really good at just like iconography, and even the wardrobe. Sorry, the wardrobe is one of the most iconic things from fantasy novels. Like it's more iconic than the Batman logo even. Like it's just an icon of something it represents a feeling, and Lewis is really good at that. So, but to have that kind of same aura of the wardrobe kind of transported into other things is pretty cool. So, Trumpkin. Let's talk about Trumpkin. He's a good side character, right?
But Reepicheep.
We'll read through Reepicheep. The thing about Trumpkin is, like, you can tell all over Lewis's stories, and that hideous strength Tanner, like McAfee, is that his name? What's his name?
Oh yeah.
No, there's so many
McPherson.
You sure? There's so many.
No, that's the creepy lady that smokes the cheroot.
What?
Huh?
Where?
What are we
book?
talking about?
The weirdo lady, the police lady.
Oh, I don't know.
That was her name.
No,
what are we talking about?
There's a character in That Hideous Strength, which is the sequel to Out of the Silent Planet, Isaiah. I remember reading that one. And anyway, there's a character, something Mac, I don't know. It's on my shelf, but whatever. It's not important. It's a character that's like a honest cynic kind of thing. Like, a character that is a cynic, not really a believer, but is really lovable. And Lewis loves those characters, probably because he was one of them beforehand. And so Trumpkin's another one of those characters where he's really a cynic, doesn't really believe, but he'll do what his king asks, right? And then that's a cool moment, too, where Aslan kind of shakes him up and wakes him up. So I like Trumpkin a lot. He's a good character in Silverchair, and I guess he's not in Dawn Treader because he's left behind, right? Just sad, but...
Yeah, he's left behind in Dawn Treader.
Rules,
He's mentioned, right? But then in the Silverchair you see him again as an old, not so lovable character.
Oh yeah, because he's just like annoying. But what I love about Trumpkin is just his stubbornness, but also Tanner's dad rang the doorbell. Sorry if you guys heard that. Anyway, what was I gonna say? What's my train of thought? Tanner's
Trumpkin.
Trumpkin, yes. He's a stubborn guy who's gonna do what's right, even though he's kind of unbelieving at first. What? Like you?
It's definitely Isaiah.
I didn't realize you were about to say the unbelieving at first. I didn't realize. I thought you were just going to say stubborn guy who does what's right. Okay. I thought you were just going to say that.
Isaiah is that. I kind of like set Isaiah up. I was like, he's a stubborn guy who does what's right. I waited for Isaiah to like lean into the mic, and I said, who's unbelieving? And you're like, that's me. Yeah.
Okay, you guys. If you haven't been with us for a long time, you will immediately realize that in most times when me and Isaiah get into an argument, neither of us will admit that we are right.
Oh, wait, what?
Ever.
Oh, yeah.
It takes us like going in circular arguments forever until Cooper finally says, you're both saying the exact same thing at different times. And we're like, oh.
It's pretty fun, though.
It's true, though.
Hey, Tanner, we're talking about Reepicheep now.
Yay!
Here is here, just go ahead and read this page 208 and 209. Like, read the scene with Reepicheep and Aslan. Okay, here, there you go. It was a good toss and a good catch.
Okay, folks.
While Tanner was getting ready, Isaiah,
in Cooper's
let's talk about what makes Reepicheep such a good character. Why do you love Reepicheep so much? Why does the world love Reepicheep so much?
He's awesome. He's a great rat mouse thing.
Why is he, though?
He's funny.
Okay.
His personality, a rat personality, mouse-anality. I don't know.
I love how, like, the mouse are always good, even when they're, like, rat-sized. Like, Reepicheep is pretty big, but he's still a mouse, because he can't be a rat, because rats are people.
Yeah, obviously. He's funny, good personality, mouse-anality, whatever the heck it's called. I don't really know what to say. Personality, but he's not a person. It's just great, and he's character. I was gonna say that character. And I mean, like, it's a mouse fighting people with a little stick sword thing and winning.
That's another funny description from the battle. Is like when he said like many Telmarines fell to needle sharp pain in their feet.
Exactly.
And then, just get stabbed.
Exactly.
On the ground by thousands of needles. You know.
Exactly.
I think what's funny about him as well, like you kind of referenced it, is like he's a mouse. But he has the honor. I think he's like as tall and as wise and as strong and brave as Aslan himself, kind of thing, almost. You know, like he thinks he's, and he really can. Like he does it to Eustace and Dawn Treader.
Dawn Treader, yeah.
So, all right, Tanner, go ahead and read his passage.
We are ready. Yes,
Tanner
I'm
is
talking
talking
in
the
royal
person.
we.
Yes, we're discussing today King Henry V, Shakespeare's play. Okay, go ahead.
Anyways, Lucy has just revived Reepicheep, and now this is Reepicheep talking, because that's the best place I know where to start. "Hail, Aslan," came his shrill voice. "I have the honor." But then he suddenly stopped. The fact was that he still had no tail. Whether that Lucy had forgotten it, or that her cordial, though it could heal wounds, could not make things grow again. Reepicheep became aware of his loss as he made his bow. Perhaps it altered something in his balance. He looked over his right shoulder. Failing to see his tail, he strained his neck further till he had to turn his shoulders and his whole body followed. But by that time, his hindquarters had turned too and were out of sight. Then he strained his neck looking over his shoulder again with the same result. Only after he had turned completely round 3 times did he realize the dreadful truth. "I am confounded," said Reepicheep to Aslan. "I am completely out of countenance. I must crave your indulgence for appearing in this unseemly fashion." "It becomes you, small one," said Aslan. "All the same," said Reepicheep, "if anything could be done, perhaps Her Majesty," and here he bowed to Lucy, But what would you want with a tail? Asked Aslan. Sir, said the mouse, I can eat and sleep and die for my king without one, but a tail is the honor and glory of a mouse. I have sometimes wondered, friend, said Aslan, whether you do not think too much about your honor. Highest of all high kings, said Reepicheep, permit me to remind you that a very small size has been bestowed on us mice, and if we did not guard our dignity, some, who weigh it worth inches, would allow themselves very unsuitable pleasantries at our expense. That is why I have been at some pains to make it known that no one who does not wish to feel this sword as near his heart as I can reach shall talk in my presence about traps or toasted cheese or candles. No, sir, not the tallest fool in Narnia. Here he glared very fiercely up at Wimbleweather, but the giant, who was always a stage behind everyone else, had not yet discovered what was being talked about down at his feet, and so missed the point. Why have your followers all drawn their swords, may I ask? Said Aslan.
Here's the good part right here.
Here we are, folks. May it please your majesty, said the second mouse, whose name was Reepicheep. No. I said it wrong.
No.
Reepicheep.
I think it's Reepicheep. Reepicheep. It's gotta be cheek.
Okay, we'll go ahead and say cheek. Okay, Reepicheep. We are all waiting to cut off our own tails if our chief must go without his. We will not bear the shame of wearing an honor which is denied to the high mouse. Ah, roared Aslan, you have conquered me. Now not for the sake of your dignity, Reepicheep, but for the love that is between you and your people, and still more for the kindness your people showed me long ago when you ate away the cords that bound me on the stone table. And it was then, though you have long forgotten it, that you began to be talking mice. You shall have your tail again.
There, it's not there. Yeah, that's really good. It demonstrates why you love Reepicheep, love the mice, plural, and why Lewis is a great writer, because that's really funny, but he's not condescending. He's kind of coming alongside the kid who's reading it and like laughing with them and making observations, and that's a talent that's been lost. Like Tolkien and Lewis had it, and there's not been a book since that has been able to like conquer the third-person omniscient narrator in such a way that they did. So I wish they could, but it's kind of gone now. Most people are right.
That's when Reepicheep became immortal.
True. By the way, what was I going to say? Oh, gosh. That line stood out to me. You have conquered me. Like, that's a good line. That Aslan word. You have conquered me. I'm going to say it more to people. Like, when Isaiah makes me cry when he tells the fart joke, I'm like, you've conquered me. You've conquered me.
What?
We're weird, guys.
When do I tell fart jokes?
Dude. Okay, it's about your dad, I guess.
Yeah, it's my dad, not me.
Here.
My dad tells them and then farts.
Okay, well, anything else you want to say about Prince Caspian? Final thoughts? How many lampposts out of 7?
5.5.
Okay.
5.
I'm going to go 5.5 as well.
Copying me?
No.
How dare you?
Hey, at least he didn't copy me, folks. Me and Cooper do this too much.
Yeah, what do you mean, do too much?
Me and
Copy each
Cooper
other's
copy,
ratings.
but our ratings are always
So I go last.
like, around
people
the
copy
exact
me.
same.
Anyway, what was I gonna say? Oh yes, Prince Caspian does a good job. Like, it's kind of interesting and it's very medieval and like the mythology and the cosmology. It's very interesting. And I think that Planet Narnia is gonna have a fun time talking about it whenever Tanner gets that far. So we'll see how far Tanner gets in Planet Narnia by the next time we record. So, donor shoutouts. Where'd someone go if they wanted a donor shoutout?
They would go to patreon.com/bookinit and donate to any of our $5 and up tiers. Pay us money and we bless you. That's the way this works.
Okay, I'm gonna say the patron, you guys, and then you say if they would cut off their tails for Reepicheep or not. Okay, we love weird donor shout out shticks over here. Man. Okay, first Nana.
No.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Then Pepe and Wayla.
Yes.
Isaiah's grandparents, Mike and Sylvia.
No.
Bro, what?
Isaiah's parents, Mike and Laura.
Yes.
Anna.
Fine, yes.
Emily.
No.
Lizzie. These guys are
Maybe.
thinking
That's a maybe.
really hard about this.
Yes, we are.
Not everybody can be Reepicheep and his loyal followers, I guess. All right, and then
Exactly.
finally, Keenan.
Absolutely.
Oh yes, Keenan can definitely do that.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed that episode on Prince Caspian. We'll be back next time with the Voyage of the Dawn Treader, with arguably, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say, the greatest opening line in literature. Can I say that?
Sure.
I doesn't even know what it is.
Not a clue.
It's
I don't
pretty
remember.
funny.
It's not the greatest. There's a better one.
Which one is it?
Wheel of Time, literally opening every single one with the exact same thing, the way they open it. I love it.
Look,
That's my argument.
that's not true. We'll talk about it next time.
Tanner's a nerd.
We'll talk about it next time. Okay. Anything else needs to be said? Oh, support us. 5-star rating and review. Share with your friends. Oh, go listen to an episode either coming out today or next week on Miracle, the hockey movie.
Yeah, it's coming out a little bit late. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that. But guess what? The one and the only MEK. I'll let you guys figure out what that means. Appeared on the episode.
Yeah.
So
Sadly, I wasn't there.
Isaiah had to dip, but that's okay. We love Isaiah still.
Oh.
We'll see you guys next time on the beautiful Dawn Treader. But until then,
Keep on booking it.